which Pro has the fastest bike? 2. So we did a video on this before, which you may have seen. If you've not seen it, go watch it now and then come back and watch this one. But it was very popular and lots of you enjoyed it and commented on it. And we've decided to do another one with some other bikes. So this time round, we've got the Bianchi Ultra XR4, the Scott Foil, and the Merida Sculptura. And to make sure that we can compare to the bikes we ran last time, we've also got the Specialized S-Works Venge Vias again, so that then that can act as a benchmark by which we can compare everything. So once again, we've got Dan Bigham here from WattShop, who's also a 6-time national champion, who's going to help us perform the testing. So what are we going to do to test the bikes?
Okay, so test is quite similar to last time, with a few little alterations hopefully to improve the protocol. We're going to be using a bottle on every single test run this time. Purely a lot of the feedback was we're never going to ride without a bottle, so yeah. Makes sense. And we've solidified our position effectively. So instead of having this sort of midway, maybe bent elbows, it's locked elbows up, it's locked elbows on the drops, and it's very rigid in each one, so that it's very, very controlled across all 3 of the positions.
And something we should point out is that we did do this last time, but we didn't stress it enough, is that the positions on all the bikes, we have tried our best to get them exactly the same. And this has involved adjusting stems, stack heights, saddles, fore and aft and everything. We've measured it all. We've tried to get them as constant as possible. There are slight variations, and that can't really be avoided because the integrated bars and stems on some of the bikes are just quite different. But we feel that we're confident.
As close as we can.
We've got as close as we can.
Yeah. So the test itself is very, very similar again. We'll be doing 6-lap test runs in each position at 45k an hour, exactly as we were doing for the last test. Calculating CDA, so we've got the same wheel set in, the fast forward F9R, running a power tap rear wheel in that, so recording power and velocity from the rear wheel. And we'll use that to calculate the CDA for each position and for each bike.
And we should also point out that because we're going off power, that fatigue doesn't come into it.
No, as long as the rider holds the position consistent, it doesn't particularly matter whether they're putting out 10 watts more, 10 watts less. As long as the speed's roughly consistent within a K an hour or so, that's what matters. So fatigue doesn't really impact at all.
Something else I should stress is that no bike manufacturer has paid for this. This is a completely independent test, and the test last time was also completely independent. So the results are the results. And also, I know from the comments last time that lots of you wanted to see us test the Pinarello F10. Now, rest assured, we really want to test the Pinarello F10 as well. But Pinarello haven't been able to send us one in time for us to test it. So hopefully, if we do this again, we will be able to test Chris Froome's bike, the Pinarello F10, because there's several other bikes we want to test as well. There's still lots to go, like the Factor, the Lapierre Air Code, Merida's new Reacto. We'd like to test them all, so we're going to try our best. But in the meantime, we're going to go with
Stick with what we got.
Yeah. The test speed we're going to be going at is roughly 45 kilometers an hour. Now, some of you have commented in the past that you think this is too fast for the everyday rider. So why are we going at that speed?
Simply at that speed you get better fidelity, better quality of data. You're having to put more power out, and the laws of physics mean with aerodynamic drag with velocity cubed, then it just makes more sense. The faster you go, the easier it is to separate the 2 different variables between bikes. So 45 kilometers an hour might be a speed that you'd be riding at the front on a chain gang, but it's still representative for the slower riders. So a CDA value you get at 45 kilometers an hour would still hold true down to 40, 35 kilometers an hour. It's still the same. We're still measuring the same variable. It's just easier to measure at higher speed.
So in summary, 45 kilometers an hour gives you better resolution of data, and it's also an industry standard within the cycling industry for testing products such as wheels, frames, skin suits, whatever. A lot of companies use this speed.
Yep, simply as that. That's the test velocity they use, so we'll stick with that as well.
I'm now back at Cycling Weekly Base Camp, and I've got the results. We're going to put up a table with the results in and all the numbers for a couple of seconds. So if you'd like to pore over it in more detail and dig away at the numbers to your heart's content, you can pause the video now. Of the bikes tested, the slowest on test was the Merida Sculptura. Now this is not entirely surprising, as it is a climbing bike and the other bikes are aero bikes. However, we wanted to test it because it's the bike of choice for Vincenzo Nibali, who also has the Reacto potentially at his disposal, and Merida wanted to send it to us because at the time of filming their new Reacto model was not available. Which bike was the fastest? Well, according to the data, it was the new Scott Foil, narrowly beating the Venge Vias. The margin was slim, however, within the region of 1 watt, and this is arguably within the realms of experimental error. However, it was consistent over all the runs and positions. It is a bit surprising though, because when you look at the Scott Foil, it features significantly less integration, particularly of the front brake, than the Venge Vias. The Bianchi Ultra was between 7 and 4 watts slower than the Scott Foil, depending on the position. Now, this isn't a huge amount and certainly suggests that the Ultra is a very fast machine indeed. Within the context of the previous test we did, this places it within similar territory to the Canyon Aero and Cervelo S5. Now, for me, the most interesting result was the Merida Sculptura. Now, remember that the wheels are the same on all the bikes tested, so the only thing that's changing, the thing we're measuring, is the difference the frame set makes. Now, at 45 kilometers an hour riding in the aero position, the Sculptura was a whopping 20 watts slower than the Scott Foil, and it was 25 watts slower when riding in the hoods. This is cool because it's actually consistent with what Merida claims. Merida says that the Sculptura is 18 watts slower than the Reacto, Merida's own aero bike, at 45 kilometers an hour, and this is based upon wind tunnel tests that they've done. Now, what this suggests though is that if we test it, the Reacto should be a couple of watts slower than the Scott Foil, so that'll be really interesting to see in the future. It would appear that the Scott Foil is a very fast bike, and for us it has the edge over the Venge Vias because it's significantly lighter and arguably it's also easier to live with and to service. The results also suggest that there's a massive advantage to be gained from going for an aero bike frame set over a climbing bike frame set alternative. And in the case of Vincenzo Nibali, considering Merida can build the Reacto to the UCI 6.8 kilogram limit, he should perhaps rethink his choice of bike. We hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Cycling Weekly channel. Making impartial content like this isn't cheap, so by liking, sharing and subscribing, you help us continue to make it in the future. If you have any questions about this experiment, then please let us know in the comments section below and we'll try our best to answer them. And if there's any particular bikes that you'd like to see tested in this way in the future, then let us know about those too, and we'll try and prioritise the ones that are most requested.